The sky darkens, the air grows heavy, and in a matter of minutes, an unstoppable force of nature turns roads into raging rivers. Cars are tossed like toys, buildings crumble under the pressure, and people find themselves fighting against a current they never saw coming. Flash floods strike without warning, leaving destruction in their wake. They don't discriminate. Whether in a bustling city or a quiet village, the devastation is the same. Today, we're looking at 5 of the most terrifying flash floods ever caught on camera. Moments where water turned streets into death traps, rivers exploded beyond their banks, and entire towns disappeared in a matter of seconds. Each of these disasters was unpredictable, unstoppable, and unforgettable. Let's begin. Number 5. Genoa, Italy. A city drowned in chaos. Genoa, a historic port city with a rich maritime legacy, is known for its stunning coastal views and vibrant trade industry. But on November 4, 2011, those same coastal waters turned against it in one of the most terrifying flash floods ever recorded. The 2011 European floods brought disaster to multiple regions, but Genoa took one of the hardest hits. It all started when a massive tropical storm rolled in from the Mediterranean, dumping over 500 millimeters, 20 inches, of rain across Tuscany and Liguria. Rivers swelled beyond their banks, the streets transformed into raging torrents, and within hours, the city was drowning. Footage from the disaster looks like something out of a nightmare. Cars swept away like paper boats, people clinging to poles and balconies, trying to escape the violent floodwaters. The Police stream, usually a modest waterway, turned into a deadly force of nature, even causing a bridge to collapse under the pressure. When the flood finally receded, the aftermath was just as shocking. Mud-covered roads, debris-strewn neighborhoods, and countless lives turned upside down. The port, once a symbol of strength, was choked with wreckage. Genoa had weathered many storms before, but this was a disaster the city would never forget. At number 4, Mandi, India, a city. Swallowed by water and mud. Mandi, a picturesque city in Himachal Pradesh, is known for its stunning mountain landscapes, ancient temples, and vibrant economy. But in July 2023, that beauty was buried under a relentless flash flood that turned roads into rivers and hillsides into deadly landslides. India is no stranger to heavy monsoon rains, but this particular storm was something else. 6 inches of rain fell in a single day. Rivers swelled, overflowing into streets. One of the most terrifying moments came when a massive landslide roared down a hillside, sending mud, trees, and boulders crashing into homes and businesses. Footage from the scene shows entire buildings collapsing like sandcastles. For one local shopkeeper, the warning came just in time. Authorities had alerted residents that a lake had formed at the top of a hill, and the pressure was too much to hold. He managed to evacuate, but his street-level shop wasn't so lucky, completely buried in mud and wreckage. Mandi wasn't the only city hit hard. Across Himachal Pradesh, thousands were forced to evacuate, and the damage left behind was staggering. Number 3. Norway, a river of destruction. On August 7, 2023, the people of Hemsedal, Norway, received a warning they hoped they'd never hear. Storm Hans was no ordinary rainstorm. It unleashed the heaviest rainfall Norway had seen in 25 years, turning peaceful towns into waterlogged disaster zones. Rivers swelled at an alarming rate, entire neighborhoods had to be evacuated, and people watched in disbelief as their homes were swallowed by the rising waters. But the worst was yet to come. At the height of the storm, a dam on the Glomma River, Norway's largest, couldn't hold back the pressure anymore. It burst. What followed was nothing short of apocalyptic. A monstrous wave of water surged through the region, triggering landslides and wiping out homes, roads, and bridges in an instant. Footage from the scene showed entire houses ripped from their foundations, floating helplessly down the raging river like paper boats. The terrifying part? This disaster wasn't completely unexpected. In July, rainfall was already 300% above the historical average, soaking the ground to the point of instability. By August, the land couldn't take any more, and when the rains kept coming, it had no choice but to let go. Storm Hans didn't just devastate Norway, it swept through multiple countries, flooding towns, ripping roofs off houses, and leaving entire communities in ruins. Ironically, this came just months after extreme wildfires scorched parts of northern Europe. One season brought too much fire, the next, too much water. Number 2. Moab, Utah. A desert drowned in minutes. Moab, Utah, a rugged desert town famous for its red rock landscapes, mountain biking trails, and proximity to the Colorado River, is not the kind of place you'd expect to be underwater. But on July 28, 2021, the dry, sun-baked terrain became the site of a terrifying flash flood that ripped through streets, highways, and canyons in a matter of minutes. It started with a massive thunderstorm that unleashed an unexpected downpour over the area. Heavy rain pounded the parched ground, but the desert wasn't ready to absorb it. Instead, the water rushed downhill, flooding streams and creeks that had been bone dry just hours before. One local, standing near a seemingly empty riverbed, captured footage of a wall of muddy water suddenly surging through the canyon, a chilling reminder of how quickly nature can turn deadly. City officials called this event a 100-year flood, meaning there was just a 1% chance of it happening in any given year. But Moab didn't have to wait another century to see it again. Just 13 months later, another so-called 100-year flood hit. For thrill-seekers and adventurers, Moab is a paradise. But after that terrifying day in 2021, it became clear, when water comes for the desert, there's nowhere to run. At number 1, Hurricane Hilary. When the mountains turned to rivers Wrightwood, California, a quiet mountain town 6,000 feet above sea level is no stranger to extreme weather. Summers bring wildfires, winters bring avalanches, but in August 2023, something different was coming. Hurricane Hilary, a Category 4 monster, was tearing through the Pacific. By the time it reached the Baja Peninsula on August 20th, it had already broken records, drenching entire states and flooding towns that had never experienced a storm like this before. But for residents of Wrightwood, the real terror began when the storm's remnants slammed into the San Gabriel Mountains. This wasn't supposed to happen in California. Hurricanes are rare on the West Coast. That's why, when the National Hurricane Center issued its first-ever tropical storm warning for the state, 26 million people across 3 states suddenly found themselves in the path of a flood they never expected. Nature's power is unstoppable, and these flash floods prove just how quickly everything can change. From cities swallowed by water to entire homes washed away, these disasters remind us to never underestimate the forces around us. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more intense moments caught on camera. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.